Good morning. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. It is a pleasure to be back on campus. Faculty, staff, parents and guests and graduates, I'm humbled to share in this celebration with you. My thanks to Dean Van Slyke and Dean Mortazavi for inviting me. Also thanks to Dean Greenberg for that kind introduction. And also I have to note, it's 100 years, a century of the Maxwell School, so congratulations to that. Graduates, to you, first and foremost, congratulations. You are on the precipice of a major milestone, and I'm honored to be the last lecture that you ever have to pretend to listen to. As Diana laid out, you all have endured a lot. You've overcome some unprecedented challenges, and you have a lot to be proud of, so I am immensely grateful for the opportunity to address you today. If I'm being completely honest, I don't remember much from my convocation, or the speaker, or much of that weekend. It was a long, mostly sleepless last semester for me to get to where you are right now, and when I got to where you are right now, everything was very bright. I had a splitting headache. I was quite hungover. There was a lot of celebrating, well-earned celebrating, and from what I can tell, standing where I am right now, some of you can relate to that. Some of your parents as well, even maybe some of the staff. Nevertheless, it was well-earned. So anytime that I'm asked to speak to students, I always think about what kind of message I would have wanted to hear when I was where you are right now at the start of my journey. And it's a funny thing because anytime I'm asked to speak like this during the introduction, I often think, as someone is telling a crowd about your titles, your life, the things you've achieved that you're always so proud of, most of you are probably thinking, who is this guy? But as I'm listening, I'm thinking that what isn't mentioned at events like this is what I would have wanted to hear the most back when I was sitting where you are. Because as you're plotting your course to success and you hear about someone else's trajectory and their accomplishments, what's almost never mentioned is the struggle, la lucha. Rarely do you hear someone get up here and tell you about their failures, the painful, embarrassing parts of their story that often go untold, that most people seek to hide. But in my mind, in the heartache and humiliation behind those moments, that's where the treasure is buried. So today, I'm going to do something different and tell you all about my blunders, my mistakes. Not long after I left my graduation, I started sending out resume tapes to TV stations across the country, trying to get my first job as a reporter. It was me standing in front of a camera with earrings and a really bad fade with a heavy Miami accent. Bro, the fire started here. It was terrible. I must have sent out 30 of them. See, I always knew that I wanted to be a journalist ever since I was a little kid. I was inspired in part by my mom. As a child in Cuba, she had a passion for writing, and she aspired to one day be a journalist and write for a newspaper. But of course, communism. She was forced into menial labor, and that dream was deferred. Authoritarians don't like a free press or people expressing themselves freely. Case in point, my grandfather was sentenced to 20 years in prison simply for trying to speak the truth about a brutal dictator who executed thousands of his people for their beliefs. Hearing these stories had a profound impact on me as a little kid. Democracy, holding the powerful to account, freedom of speech, freedom. Even as a little boy, I was moved by the value of these ideas. I knew even back then the craft that I would dedicate every day of my life to. At 7 years old, I dreamed of one day playing for the Miami Heat. That didn't work out, but nevertheless, given our background, when I approached my parents about coming to Syracuse to study foreign policy and journalism, they understood. I was afraid they might try to talk me out of it. See, we were poor. I had hand-me-down everything, school supplies, clothes, toys. To save money, my dad used to fade my hair in my backyard. I was sitting on cement bags around rusted cars because he was a mechanic, and he would take on extra work around the neighborhood to make ends meet. I grew up humble. My sister and I used to take Sunny Delight gallons and open a slit on the top of the plastic, and we would put every coin we could find in them, and every coin added up, and when we were finished, we would start another one, and that's how we paid for our family vacations. I still remember our first trip to Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida, where the space shuttles used to launch. We were astonished. It was wild. I wish you could see my parents' faces, these massive rockets fueled by ingenuity, incredible minds, the math and science and engineering and technology. We were awed. My dad would say, "Coño, las cosas que hacen los americanos." I can't translate that directly, it would be inappropriate, but effectively it means, dang, the things Americans can do. My whole family was drunk on hope, intoxicated by the American dream, by what's possible in this country. They would tell me, estudia, study, because here you can do anything, you can become anyone. They emphasized hard work and education, but when I got to Syracuse financially, they couldn't really help me. So when I asked them to co-sign on massive student loans they couldn't afford, I was nervous. But they bet on me, and it did not pay off. At least not right away. More than a year after I graduated, I had sent out 30-something tapes. All I got back was a letter from a tiny station in Mississippi saying, "Thank you, but we want nothing to do with you." I had completely struck out. I was sitting on my parents' couch in their house, eating their food and getting the look, a look that you may soon get from your loved ones. Yeah. They had doubts. I had doubts. I was questioning whether I'd made the right decision. Was this ever going to happen for me? Do I have what it takes? What's wrong with me? Am I dumb? Fortunately, a Syracuse graduate at a local station in Miami helped me get an internship. I made a new tape there, and the first one I sent out was the first place that responded. And 2 weeks later, I moved thousands of miles to a place I'd never been in California, where in my moment of triumph upon arrival, I thought, this place is a dump. Everything was falling apart. Nothing worked. We couldn't go live. The transmitter on the roof of the station was broken, so we literally had rigged a cable that came out from the studio and went through a door that always stayed open in the back to the one live truck we had. Could you imagine? I found the one TV station in America that couldn't broadcast live. Of course they hired me. When we did go live, I took full advantage of it, reporting, producing, anchoring, operating the cameras, fixing computers. At times, I was the janitor at that station. All of it for not very much money. But it was worth it, because I was now a professional journalist. Nevertheless, I wasn't making enough money to pay those massive student loans when they came due. I could either pay the loan or I could eat. My mom would call me 10 times a day because the banks were calling her 20, and I ignored both of them. I watched my credit implode. Meantime, I watched my friends on social media in Miami, on boats with beautiful people, sunshine and champagne. I questioned whether I did the right thing. I had to remind myself why I chose this path. Eventually, I got a better job and a better one and a better one, and 25 years after deciding that I wanted to be a journalist, after hearing my grandfather's story, incarcerated and tortured for questioning power, I had the opportunity to walk into the White House as a correspondent with the most powerful person in the world standing in front of me, pointing at me, inviting me to question him, the very thing that cost my abuelo so much of his life. I struggled to even get the question out. I started blathering. All I could think was, dang, the things Americans can do. It was a full circle moment, much like this one. Even now, realizing it makes me emotional. But you should know, the struggle didn't stop there. It never stops. Now there are competitors, people that do not want to see you succeed, outsiders, full of rage, people who don't know me, who may not know you, but yet they attack you for who you are, for things you can't control. Not your ideas, not the policies you support, not the substance of the argument. And of course, there are still barriers too, the way that history and circumstances can conspire to make you feel disadvantaged or inadequate. And you're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're human. You will fail again and again and again, even when you think you've made it. I don't tell this story often, but when I first started anchoring at CNN, I was asked to fill in for a few hours on a weekend show. The main anchor was off. I was insecure and I was eager to prove myself, so I prepared all these questions. I read each and every script, and 10 minutes before the show, a producer hands me a sheet of paper with this nondescript paragraph on it about a rally that was happening in Virginia. And a producer said, oh, this might be a thing, so just, keep it handy. It was an afterthought. Not 20 minutes later, so eager to impress, the show I prepared for went out the window because this rally became a riot. White supremacists were raging in Charlottesville, espousing nonsense and assaulting people. Some people were maimed. One young woman was even killed. I was live on the air in front of the world for one of the nastiest recent episodes in American history, and I was completely unprepared. I started sweating and rambling. My eyeballs were burning. I was choking on my words. I was having a full-blown meltdown on live TV. And I thought, well, it was fun while it lasted. For days after that, I couldn't sleep. I was mortified, right? And if I could, from where I'm standing right now, have communicated something to myself back then, I would have said that that failure was the best thing that could have happened to me, because discomfort is required to grow. When you fail, you become painfully aware of your weaknesses. You learn how to attack them, what to do the next time that you're caught unprepared. I believe that if you're not falling on your face, you're not reaching far enough. Failure also helps you learn the most important skill that you can possess in any field, and that's resilience, the ability to get back up and try again. A big part of that is remembering why you chose the path that you're on. I can't do that for you. That one is on you. I can, though, if you allow me a moment of indulgence, share my own. When I was at Maxwell, I'd walk by that statue of George Washington and the Athenian Oath almost every day, and I didn't think much about it. Now it's seemingly all I can think about. Originally, that oath was sworn by young Athenians who were entering military service, which was required at the time to become a citizen. The oath is about striving for ideals and sacred things, about inheriting and defending a state's laws, and most importantly, honoring its past while also enriching it for the next generation. Remember, Athens was the first recorded democracy some 2,500 years ago. But things, as they do sometimes in democracies, got complicated all at once. Athens and its allies went to war with Sparta, a dictatorship. There was an unprecedented plague that swept through Greece, and a huge portion of their population was killed by a virus the world had never seen. There was a charismatic and handsome leader named Alcibiades, who took advantage of political disagreement, and there was violence, there was an uprising from within. He tried to take power from the hands of the people not once, but 3 separate times. Ancient history. It's something that's repeated itself throughout civilizations and throughout cultures, throughout free societies, because free societies are fragile. They rely on trust, on trusting people that you may violently disagree with. They rely on individuals setting aside their own self-interest at times to respect the will of the people. And that can be infuriating when you stand across from someone that you love and you can't even comprehend how they could come to believe what they believe. How does a society even function like that? How does a family? And yet they do. I know some of you may think this is sentimental or oversimplifying, and you can cite dozens of ugly, regretful chapters in this nation's history, even to its present day. The many rifts seemingly everywhere that have festered. But I see the fruits of this democracy every single day. The benefits of free speech and free thought ensured by our Constitution, the power that each individual has to make their voice heard, to advocate for their cause, and to advance their own station in life. Look, in no other country in the world would my story even be possible, because the alchemy offered by this soil is unrivaled. All of the information and creativity, technology, the produce and people and things that we have access to, a potential that seems limitless. And I see the strength of it in this room right now in you. I also remember that all of it exists only because we stand on the shoulders of giants. our parents and grandparents, our ancestors, those who came before, who fought for this dream, for us to be here today, hungover, to have this opportunity. Those who bravely earned and protected our ability to determine our own future because they trusted the future, they trusted us. And graduates, as you begin your journey today, this dream is now entrusted into you. It's in your hands. It's your duty now, not only to protect it, but to enrich it for the next generation. And I have no doubt that you will do us proud. Thank you so much.